On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's public hearing and our regular board meeting for the month of December. Let the record reflect that today is December the 9th, 2019. It is 7 o'clock now. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order and declare quorum of the trustees present. This evening, Mr. Stansberry will lead us in the pledges, and Mr. Rector will lead us in the invocation. Everybody please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On our Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the things you have blessed our staff and our students to accomplish this year. We thank you, Lord, for just watching over this district all throughout this year. For that, we are so grateful. We come now and pray and ask special blessing upon this meeting, that this will be our last meeting for the year of 2019. You know, God, I pray that you just prepare our hearts as we prepare to celebrate the birthday of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And let us be reminded that Jesus is the reason for the season. And I pray and ask Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. For his sake we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Terry and David. And Terry, welcome back. Glad you're feeling better.
Glad to be back.
Agenda item number 2 is public testimony. Anybody signed up?
We have signed up for hearing, but
Excuse me.
we have signed up for the hearing, but not for the testimony.
Did you sign up for the correct one? Did you sign up for the hearing or the testimony?
Oh, okay.
You can speak if you want to. You come up to the microphone, but let me do some housekeeping first. Public testimony pursuant to House Bill 2840. The board will allow every person who wishes to address the board on an agenda item to do so before the board's consideration of the item. The board shall not deliberate regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. This is a time for the board to stop, look, and listen to public comments. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. We ask that speakers refrain from comments about any district employees without proper due process. Mr. Flores, the floor is yours.
Everybody knows me. I'm Delfino Flores. I've been a resident here in Aransas for 60 years. That tells you something. I am very strong into our football program and our athletic programs and all our sports programs. And you'll see me just about at everything, anything to do with sports. You'll see me there, girls, boys. I do my best to be there. Graduated in 79, and I might have missed maybe 10, 15 years since I graduated. I attend just about every football game, outside, inside. I mean, it doesn't matter where it is. My problem is, as we are very, very bad hurting on our coaching. Our coachings are not fair. I witnessed everything myself. They hold grudges. I don't really have to tell y'all, because I'm sure y'all have seen it and heard it in the stands. I mean, the people have spoken out. They're speaking to you in the stands. When people come to the game, they're told not to criticize the coaches and stuff like that. Sometimes it's hard not to criticize the coach, especially when you know what you have out there. And I'm talking about all our sports programs. I mean, I'm talking from junior high to high school, where we need something done. We need some changes. When people are comfortable and they're not worried about losing their job, they're not doing their job. That's not what we're about. You have to push. You have to be aggressive. You've got coaches that work out there and do their job, and they get brought down because they don't like them overcoaching them. That's not what we're about. If you have a young coach or any coach trying to better our programs, you don't criticize those coaches. You don't bring them down. You bring them up, because we need to go up. We have flaws players to Ingleside, to GP. We have had players walk off the fields. That's not about us. We should not be losing kids in Aransas. We need kids here in Aransas. Our programs are weak. I don't know if y'all have seen it, y'all don't believe it, but it's there. This year has proved it. Our programs are weak. Something has to be done to bring up our programs, bring in people into Aransas Pass, especially kids. We need to build up our programs. Our programs are very weak.
You have one more minute.
Really, that's all I have to do, and I have to say also is that some of these coaches hold grudges from the year before, and I brought up an issue that happened to my own grandson, and I brought it to the proper person. It was taken care of, and that was last year, I believe, and it was carried on to this year. It was made obvious that they were holding grudges against them, and that's not what we're about. If you have an athlete that can play, we're bringing in underclassmen and letting them step over seniors just because they want to build the team for next year. You don't put your seniors away, they put you where you're at to start off. Your seniors is your top dogs. That's it. Underclassmen, there is some that you can't deny them because they are athletic. But you cannot forget any of your athletes, any of them. Be freshmen, be seniors. You don't worry about the next year, you worry about this year. And this year is not good for us. I mean, we've all seen it. And that's my piece.
Mr. Flores, I want to tell you thank you for sharing that with us. It's not easy getting up and speaking in front of a group, I know that. We all know you, we all live here. We appreciate you sharing your concern. I just want you to understand the board can't get into a conversation about this with you because it wasn't posted on the agenda. However, I think the board would strongly recommend that if you have any concerns, that you reach out to the superintendent, schedule a meeting with her and visit those and share those concerns with her. And she'll report back to us if you want to do that.
And I have other people willing to come with me, but they're all worried about being retaliated with their kids because they got kids still in school. So
If you'll reach out to her, she'll report back to us. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank you.
Agenda item number 3 is to consider and accept the resignation of Board Secretary and Trustee Veronica Johnson, place 4. I'm sorry. Joe? You changed your mind?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson contacted me last week to submit her resignation. Her current company's growth and travel schedule keeps her busy and prevents her from fulfilling her duties as trustee. I did ask her to be here with us this evening as we formally accept her resignation and to recognize her dedication to the students, staff, and community of APISD. But before we recognize you, we have some housekeeping we have to do. So at this time, we need to formally approve her resignation. So I make a motion, we accept Ms. Johnson's resignation from the Board of Trustees, place 4. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mullinack. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. For the record, we're agenda item number 4 is to recognize her 8 years of public service. For the record, Ms. Johnson was sworn into office on June 13, 2011. During her 8 years of service to the board, she served as board president and board secretary. And as most of everyone knows here in the room, she's volunteered hundreds of hours leading several of our youth programs in the community, always striving to create learning environments for our youth. Veronica, on behalf of the board, I want to say thank you for your hard work, for always putting the best interest of our students and staff first in all your decisions. I know as a graduate of our school system, you're passionate about APISD being the best it can be, and I want you to know we're going to miss working with you.
I'm gonna miss all of you, but you'll still see me. I still have grandbabies here and my children, and it's just that I believe when you do something, you give 100%. And if I can't be at activities and be really in tune with the district, then I felt like maybe someone else could fill the spot, but you've got a great team. And you all are great, the community is great, and I'm very thankful.
We appreciate everything you do. So we have something for you if you want to come to the front. So much easier there. I think we just.
Good, so you'll forget someone.
It says, with our greatest appreciation, we hereby present Veronica Johnson for your unwavering support and unrelenting guidance that helped in leading our path to success. You are being honored with much appreciation and gratitude. Presented by the Aransas Pass Independent School District Board of Trustees, December 2008. You're welcome. We appreciate everything you've done for us. But I'm not going to let you know. My wife, I look at yours and pictures with my glasses on.
Thank you.
You can, or you can stay and see the awards. It's up to you.
I'll see the awards.
It's always my favorite part.
Agenda item number 5 is reorganization of the board to fill the board secretary vacancy. So now that we have a vacancy with our board secretary, do we have anyone that is interested in serving? Ms. Piazza is interested. We have a motion by Mr. Stansberry and a second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
To be good.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. So just for public information, in the next few months, we will need to fill the trustee vacancy for place 4. Board policy BBC legal provision for filing the vacancy reads, if a vacancy occurs on the board, the remaining board members may fill the vacancy by appointment until the next trustee election. Our next trustee election is in 2021. Or we may order a special election to fill the vacancy. If more than 1 year remains in the term, which Ms. Johnson's term is what, 3.5 years still? You guys just got sworn in? If more than 1 year remains in the term of the position vacated, the vacancy shall be filled no later than 180 days after the date the vacancy occurs. So we will be having more discussion in the next few months of what direction we want to go. Personally, I don't believe we need to have a special election and have taxpayer money spent on that, but that's my opinion. We can take nominations from the trustees, or we can open it up to the public and have an application process. And then we can review the applications and select someone. So we'll be revisiting this in the next couple of months. Next agenda item is the recognitions. The district recognitions Panthers and Employees of the Month.
H.T. Falk Elementary School has elected Megan Abel as their November Panther of the Month. Megan is the daughter of Rebecca and Josh Abel. She's a kindergartner at H.T. Falk Elementary School. In her spare time, Megan enjoys playing Barbies and playing with her dog Ruby and her cats, Little Sweetie, Squirt, Lily, and Samson. She has a younger brother, Zeke. Megan's favorite color is pink. She likes school because she loves to do math and have snack time. Who doesn't? When she gets older, Megan wants to be an art teacher. She was selected as Panther of the Month because she's a dedicated student. She's such a sweet girl and has such a big heart. One morning she came in with pictures that she colored at home for every student. She's also very, very compassionate. She gives hugs to kids who are sad or who just look like they need a little more love. H.T. Falk Elementary is proud to have Megan Abel as their Panther of the Month. Congratulations, Megan. Charlie Marshall Elementary School has selected Madeline Falcon as our November Panther of the Month. Maddie is a 5th grader at CMES. She is always very respectful and always puts others first. We are very proud of her hard work and dedication. She is the daughter of Andrea and Michael Newman. She has one older sister named Mariah and one older brother named Jonathan. She currently has 6 dogs. Her favorite hobbies are playing softball and basketball. Her favorite color is green and her favorite subject in school is math. She likes school because she can learn and be with her friends. Madeline wants to become a doctor when she grows up. Please join us in congratulating Madeline Falcon as our November Panther of the Month. She is one of the many bright stars we have at CMES. Congratulations, Madeline. AC Blunt Middle School has selected Lauren Barker as their November Panther of the Month. Lauren is a 6th grade student at AC Blunt Middle School. She is the daughter of Marvin and Rachel Barker and the youngest of 3 girls. Her favorite class in school is math because she enjoys solving problems. When she is not in school, she loves playing any sport. She currently plays basketball in the Community Youth League, and she has not decided on a career goal yet, but she knows she would like to attend Texas A&M Corpus Christi University. AC Blunt selected Lauren Barker as the November Panther of the Month because she is hardworking, helpful, and polite, which makes her a good example for others. We are proud to have such a great student like Lauren Barker. Congratulations. Aransas Pass High School has selected Maya Gonzalez for their November Panther of the Month. She is a daughter of Valerie and Johnny Gonzalez and has one sister, Fiona. She is a freshman at APHS and is a member of the Lady Panthers varsity basketball team. In her spare time, she enjoys drawing, painting, dancing, working out, training. She also enjoys taking care of her dogs, Mitzi and Cat Chester. Her favorite subject in school is biology because she enjoys learning and understanding more about life and living organisms, including their physical structure, chemical processes, development, and evolution. She also enjoys that she can take college classes while in high school. When she graduates from high school, she plans to attend college to become a registered nurse or an anesthesiologist. She was selected as Panther of the Month because she is a dedicated student. She is always polite and willing to help in any situation. Aransas Pass High School is proud to have Maya Gonzalez as their Panther of the Month. Congratulations. Congratulations. Employee of the Month. Heather Harkins is a kindergarten teacher at H.T. Falk Elementary. This is her 3rd year with Aransas Pass, but her 17th year as an educator. She is married to her husband Glenn and is an amazing mommy to Christopher, Nicholas, and Coleman. The Harkins house has 3 dogs, 2 cats, 2 ferrets, a rabbit, a tortoise, and 11 chickens. In her spare time, she enjoys working outside with her numerous animals. She enjoys her job as a kindergarten teacher. She loves her students and enjoys watching their faces light up when they learn how to read. She is a hardworking, fun-loving, outgoing, and team player. She is patient with all students and is always willing to do what's best for their learning. H.T. Falk Elementary is proud to have Heather Harkins as their Employee of the Month. Congratulations. Sylvia Pearson is a veteran teacher with over 20 years experience with APISD. She shows up early each day with a smile on her face, love in her heart, math on her mind, and perfectly matched accessorized outfit to top it off each day. Sounds like Sylvia. She's always one of the first to arrive and usually the last one out the door at the end of the day. This is even more impressive as she starts her mornings around 5 a.m. with an hour of CrossFit at the gym. Her hard work preparing, planning, and analyzing data are all evidence of her desire to help ensure that all our students leave her fourth grade math class a little more prepared for the world. Mrs. Pearson never takes "I can't" or "I don't know" as an answer. She is willing to challenge students to learn as much as she is willing to challenge herself in the gym. Our CMES family, and I'm sure Mrs. Pearson's family, daughter Jamie and son Jake, and husband Billy, are proud of all that she has accomplished and all that she does and want to say. Thank you, Sylvia, for being a part of our CMES family. Jeremy Sabert and the CMES staff. Congratulations, Sylvia. The Employee of the Month for November at AC Blunt Middle School is Martin Villarreal. Coach Villarreal was chosen as Employees of the Month by his peers because he is a hard worker and truly cares for the students at AC Blunt. This is his biography. I attended Texas A&M Corpus Christi, where I earned a bachelor's degree in kinesiology and a master's degree in educational administration. I have a daughter, Jasmine, that is currently a sophomore at APHS. I've worked for APHS for 8 years. I spent the first 7 years here teaching 7th grade math, which I truly enjoy. This year I'm teaching tech apps to 6th graders. It has been a very interesting change for me, but I am grateful for the opportunity to try something new, and I'm really enjoying my new class. I've coached boys and girls from 6th graders to seniors for the district over the past 8 years. Every team has presented its own kind of challenge, but like all our students, they have been hardworking and resilient. The best part about working for this district is the love and appreciation the kids and the teachers show towards each other. I am grateful to be a part of this district and look forward to being part of all the exciting new things that are happening. We are proud to have such a great employee like Martin Villarreal at AC Blunt Middle School. Congratulations. Last but not least, Juan Garcia was elected by his fellow teachers as Employee of the Month at APHS because of hard work and dedication he exhibits for our students. He is a PE teacher at Aransas Pass High School. He was born and raised in Brownsville, Texas by his loving parents, Juan and Sylvia Garcia. He attended Brownsville Lopez High School, where he completed in cross-country, soccer, and track. His passion for fitness led his decision to study and receive his Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. Juan is a health enthusiast that loves promoting, encouraging, and supporting Lifetime Fitness through his physical education classes. He loves motivating, challenging, leading, and teaching students to always exemplify the best version of themselves and to never give up. Juan enjoys going to church, and in his spare time he plays the guitar and reads novels. Aransas Pass High School is proud to have such a great employee like Mr. Garcia. Congratulations. Congratulations to all.
Our next recognition is donation from the Spirit of Aransas Pass to the Aransas Pass High School Robotics Program. Ms. Cook?
And yes, we were hoping that a representative from Spirit of Aransas Pass would be able to be here, Ms. Jan Moore, but she was unable to attend due to a conflict in her calendar. But we did want to recognize this great donation. As some of you may have been hearing, we've started robotics clubs at both our middle school and our high school. And to have this kind of support as we work towards this endeavor is very exciting. I've asked Rachel Zarowski, she's our high school sponsor for the Robotics Club, if she'd come and just tell us a little bit about what is happening here and how these funds will help us.
Thank you for having me up here tonight. My husband and I were new to the district last year, and one of the things that he asked me before we even started school, actually he more volunteered me for it, was, hey, do you want to, do robotics? They're looking to start robotics. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And it's been a really interesting road, but you would not believe the amount of time and effort there really needs to go into building a program like this. And so, there's a lot of kids that are interested. Last year I had a team place third. They take the top 2 in the area, and that was our very first year doing it. It includes coding, and it includes building the robots from, in this instance, EV3 Mindstorms, which is a Lego product. And we go through TCEA. Now, there are multiple different avenues that we could have gone for this in several different leagues. Part of the reason that I chose TCEA is because it is Lego branded. And I know a lot about what Lego does for kids and the job opportunities that can be provided and the scholarships that can be afforded and given. So that's the main reason that I chose to go with this particular program. But this donation money that we are receiving is just, it's a wonderful blessing for this program because the equipment is not cheap. It's expensive, and as well as registration. I have 4 teams going this year. I donated my husband built our playboards last year for the high school, and I donated those down to the middle school. So this will allow me to get new materials, and he will build me more. and it will allow us to get a few more mats that we need, practice mats, and their equipment, replacement equipment. So, and all of that, costs money. So the donation from Spirit of Aransas Pass is a real blessing for this program, especially since it's a club and it can't, it's got to raise its own funds. So that gives them a big head start, even a head start we didn't have last year. So I just wanted to thank them very, very, very much. And I appreciate y'all having me up here tonight. Thank you.
We appreciate you, Rachel, for leading out in this. I know that it's one thing for us to talk about the things we want to do, to have teachers like Rachel that step out there and go above and beyond. This amount is $2,032.
Yes, ma'am.
Which will help tremendously. I know Spirit of Aransas Pass also did through Donors Choose, did a donation to the middle school. I believe it was $1,000 that helped with their robotics program. So we really appreciate organizations and individuals, donors that want to help us jumpstart these opportunities for our students. I know we're going to see it grow and see great things happen. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to our parents and students, on behalf of the board, we'd like to thank you guys for coming. Realize it's a school night, dinner, homework. You're more than welcome to stay here with us for the next 3 hours. or you can take a pause and you can take a moment to leave, and then we'll get started again.
I will see you tomorrow. I love it. I love that thing so much. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Agenda item number 7 is to consider and adopt a resolution to initiate the process for Aransas Pass ISD to become a district of innovation as defined by the 84th legislative session in House Bill 1842.
Awesome.
Ms. Cook, you're up.
I know I've switched places, kind of throwing you off a little, but we want to be able to show this on our video with the PowerPoint behind me. And we'll be pushing this information out in many formats. so that our staff that's unable to be here tonight and our community members can all hear about what we're discussing. This is a very, very exciting time in Aransas Pass. A lot of things we've been working on this past year. You as a board set a vision a year ago when I began with you. This is actually my anniversary date this month. And I'm so excited to have been here officially a year with you. And one of the discussions we had during my interview was asking about District of Innovation. What does that look like, and how does it fit into what we're doing? Of course, we wanted to make sure that everything we do, we carefully consider it, we don't rush through it, and that we ensure that it's going to enhance what we're doing and help our teachers so that they can do all they can to help our students be successful. District of Innovation, we've been talking about it, and then I decided we needed to jump on this this month because of some new information I had received that could be very, very beneficial if we become a DOI district. And so as we walk through this process, I'll try to explain that. I'm supposed to click too, so I'm going to multitask. I'm just going to let you read this moment. I don't want to read, well, I guess since this is for the video. For years, Texas school board members and administrators have complained about the ever-increasing number of state mandates and prescriptive laws and bemoaned the continual erosion of local control. Now there is a realistic process for districts to do something about this. Take advantage, investigate the possibilities and potential of becoming a district of innovation. This is James Crow, which was our executive director of TASB. When this came into pass, this was very important, first time ever that districts could begin to look at what local control would be for the districts. As of this date, there's approximately 850 of the 1,200 school districts that are districts of innovation. We are completely surrounded by districts that have already moved that direction. So it's time for us to take a real close look at this and see if it would benefit us. Something new or different being introduced is the key component to this. What is a district of innovation? House Bill 1842, which was in the 84th session, part amended the Chapter 12 TEC code, where districts are eligible for designation if certain performance requirements are met, which we do meet, and the district follows certain procedures for adoption outlined in the statute, and I'll share that with you. The designation provides the district will be exempt from certain sections of the Texas Education Code that inhibit the goals of the district as outlined in the locally adopted innovation plan. So the point of this is to look at it as we move forward. We've been talking a lot about what we want learning to look like here in Aransas Pass. We've gone through the summits, where we'll be talking a little bit about the Panther Pathway later this evening. And we've been developing these processes. But sometimes statute can hinder us from moving forward and doing it in a manner we wish. And so the District of Innovation option gives us an opportunity to remove those barriers so we can do what we feel is best for Aransas Pass. When laws and things are made, they're made from a more global perspective, sometimes looking at larger districts instead of the smaller districts and the things that are part of our community. So this is a very exciting time for us to be able to really look at what do we wish things to look like here at Aransas Pass. Some of the benefits: local control, as I've talked about, customization. This is all developed within a certain framework by law. So you can create your plan. It can be for the whole district, for certain schools, grade levels, single campus. So there's a lot of variation. Autonomy. We submit our plan to the commissioner, but approval is not required. It goes back as long as we work within the framework of what you can do in the District of Innovation, as long as the community and the board with final approval, community giving input and speaking out through the entire process so that it truly reflects the community's wishes. Some more benefits: flexibility. You'll have the flexibility to implement practices similar to charter schools, including exemptions from mandates, and these are just some that are in the statute. School start date for flexibility with calendar. You may know that most districts that are District of Innovation, they have that option then to have a earlier start date of the school calendar if it meets our goals and provisions. And these are just ideas, as I'm saying tonight. This is not saying that we're going to do these. This is what is possible. So we could look at our school start date, which would help us, instead of starting so late in August and pushing us almost into June, we could have some flexibility. 90% attendance rule, that is a little more for the high school classes when you're looking at students and putting them through workforce programs and different things. It opens up opportunities for us to be able to offer a more innovative approach to how we instruct our students, instead of doing it the little red schoolhouse way of you come 8 periods a day, you sit in a desk, and you go from bell to bell. It will open up an opportunity for us to really think outside the box. When we think about career tech, you just heard robotics, how that's taking off, moving into engineering. I mean, there's so many different avenues where they can have work-study programs, where their attendance doesn't necessarily have to be in a seat, in a chair in the building. It can look different ways. So that's a very exciting one to think about. Innovation in your curriculum and instructional methods. Teacher certification requirements. This is very limited in what you do. It is more geared towards looking at career tech certifications, looking at, instead of mandating, as the current provisions are, that you must have finished all this educational side of the coursework, that if you come in, let's say as a welder, and you have 5, 10, 15 years as a welder, and we need a welder to teach welding, then we would be able to we would have it all outlined. It's very detailed. It's not, just, oh yeah, we want you come in. We would have it very detailed to say that you meet these requirements, you have this many years in the workforce doing that, you have good credentials, all your certifications are up to date, then we could this would give us flexibility to give a district certification to this individual and hire them in for these hard to find classes that we wish to offer currently that we really struggle, and when you're competing with other area districts, it gets very difficult. But then there would be requirements we could put in place to ensure that they still receive the training and support that they need so that they can be successful within an educational setting. So we just don't throw them off in there and say, you're a welder, good luck. We would come back and we would help them and support them through that. Site-based decision-making processes. This is an array of opportunity here. Teacher appraisal requirements. We can look at how we're appraising our teachers to ensure that it's reflective of what is best practices for us. As we work through our Panther Panther Pathway, we've got so many Panther things, Panther Pathway, and looking at our engaging classrooms, this may be an opportunity to look at how are we evaluating our teachers and changing it so that it's reflective of what our expectations are and not something set from the state that does not match, which is very frustrating for our teachers when we're asking them to do one thing but we're evaluating them another. So we could streamline it and make it more user-friendly. And the last one is the one that just is why it prompted me to move this a little more quickly than I had intended, which was increase local control of group health benefits for employees. Currently, we are locked in where we have to use TRS Active Care, and with that, the rates are continually to increase, and some of our employees work to pay for insurance. And that is very, very unfortunate, and we have been locked into that. But El Paso is one of the lead districts that has found a loophole there, that as a district of innovation, we could actually go and work through the process to look at options for our employees. To me, that is huge. We are hearing from the initial meetings we've been attending that it could be as much as 15% on premiums and up to 30% savings out of pocket. That is huge for our employees. So that's what prompted me to move this a little bit quicker than I normally would have. I would have probably had a few more conversations, because you know I'm all about us collaborating and thinking through things very carefully. But I felt this was, in order for us to even think about having this in place by the beginning of school next year, we have to begin now through this process. So that's some more exciting information with this. Now, there are exceptions. It cannot seek from state or federal requirements that are certain parts of Chapter 11, state requirements for curriculum and graduation, and academic and financial accountability. So there are certain things that we cannot touch. Districts also may not use an innovation plan to seek exemption from a requirement imposed by a state or federal grant program in which the district voluntarily participates. And we are participating in some grants, especially through title funds. So there are certain things there that we are not able to be exempt from. So we have to walk through that very carefully. TEA's involvement has rulemaking authority regarding the implementation, but as described in more detail in the rules, a district that has proposed an innovation plan is only required to notify TEA, and TEA is required to maintain the information about the statutory exemptions adopted by the districts in their innovation plans. TEA must then report to the legislature about school districts' statutory requirements. They do keep tabs on this, and I do know that one thing that they are already looking at is the whole piece about the possibility of moving and having options for healthcare. There is already rumblings, because TRS is not happy with that, rumblings about how they close that loophole up, which is another reason that if we become a district of innovation and we're able to adopt our innovative plan, we should be grandfathered in for at least 5 more years. But when you look at 850, and we could be the 851st district, it might be a little harder for them to come against what districts are rising up and saying, we need this control, this is what we need, and especially if we're showing success. And it's hard to argue with that. So we'll see what happens with as we move forward in the future. Funding changes. School district funding will remain substantially the same for districts of innovation. Unlike innovation zones in other states, the statutory option in Texas was not created to provide additional grant funding to participating districts. Depending on a district's innovation plan, the district may have some flexibility in the use of the compensatory education funds. Districts are encouraged to think about how their flexibility choices, especially with respect to the school calendar and attendance, could impact funding calculations. This goes back to how we have 75,600 minutes that are required of our calendar in order to receive the funding. We would need to abide by that. So when we set our calendar, we might change the start date, but we would still want to ensure that we have completed 75,600 minutes once we complete our calendar. So there's certain areas like that that we would not want to touch, and so we would walk through that very carefully. All through this process, if you decide that you wish to move forward, we would have legal counsel, and of course we've had many districts go before us so we can learn from their mistakes, and I've also had the opportunity of doing this at another district, and so I've already understand some of those pitfalls that we want to avoid. District policy changes. A district of innovation will likely need to make changes, and I will tell you will need to make changes to some local policies, and may need adjustments to legal policies to reflect that some legal provisions may be affected by our plan. TASB Policy Service and Legal Services will help us and make all these necessary changes. So we will work, that will be part of the legal counsel that we receive all the way through the process to ensure that our policies reflect what our actions are in the district. Now, the steps to become a district of innovation. Let me stop there first because that was a lot really fast. Do you have any questions at this point?
Well, you
And we're
answered
going to
that
have
we don't lose federal funding,
right.
as long as we stick to certain guidelines.
Yes.
Are we still held to the STAR TEKS
Yes.
standard?
The TEKS, that is our curriculum standards that we must teach. But we have some flexibility on the methods and those types of things.
Because of the becoming innovative.
Yes. Okay. All right. So the process as mandated by statute includes the first part at the top, you see board resolution or petition by district advisory committee. I am bringing this to you this evening in the essence to move this forward a little more quickly in light of the healthcare provision that we would like to look at if you're so interested, that bringing it to you as a potential board resolution, and we'll look at that board resolution in a moment. If you choose to, after I finish this little presentation, to move forward and adopt the board resolution, which basically will say that we wish to move forward with investigating this opportunity, then we would move next tonight into a public hearing. And the public hearing we have posted also, so that at that point then anyone from our audience may ask questions, comments, and so forth. I did send this out to the teachers today with the electrical issues we had in the internet. I hope they saw it to know that there was an opportunity for them to be here. Public hearing, and then once the after the public hearing, I did tickle my throat. Excuse me. The board will appoint a committee to develop a plan. We'll get to that in a moment. Of course, right in the middle of trying to do this. Thank you. If we move through this process and you approve the resolution, you hear from the public, and then you wish to move forward with appointing a committee, you can designate me to appoint as the superintendent to develop the committee. Then we would begin the process of working on the plan, and I'll go in that more in detail in a moment. We have to have the plan posted for 30 days online. We will notify the commissioner, and our district advisory committee will look, working through the plan, will pass the plan to be brought back to the school board for final approval. This is the resolution. The resolution that I'm bringing to you this evening for consideration as the Board of Trustees is, whereas the Aransas Pass ISD Board of Trustees is committed to the success of every child, and whereas House Bill 1842 provides Texas public school districts the opportunity to be designated as districts of innovation, and whereas Texas districts designated as districts of innovation may be exempted from a number of state statutes, and whereas the Aransas Pass ISD Board of Trustees has a long-standing practice of supporting innovation for the benefit of students, and whereas the Aransas Pass ISD Board of Trustees believes that it can be a better decision-making body for students when it has freedom to exercise local control over the decision-making process. And whereas House Bill 1842 requires districts seeking to be designated as districts of innovation to develop a local innovation plan, and whereas before considering the creation of a local innovation plan, the Aransas Pass ISD Board of Trustees will hold a public hearing to receive feedback from district stakeholders. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Aransas Pass Independent School District Board of Trustees on December 9, 2019 initiates the process of exploring and considering designation of the district as a district of innovation under House Bill 1842. So I'm bringing that to you now for consideration. Questions, concerns? I hope you understand at the bottom, it's the process of exploring and considering. You are not, at this point, we are not saying we have become a district of innovation, that we will complete the process to become a district of innovation. This is simply, you must pass this resolution before we can move forward with any of the other steps.
Board members have any questions? Any concerns? No questions or concerns? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution initiating the process for Aransas Pass Independent School District to become a district of innovation as defined by the 84th Legislative Session in House Bill 1842?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Molinak, a second by Ms. Branch. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Wonderful. Thank you. Now, our next step is the public hearing.
Is there anyone else? Because there's no one else.
Somebody may want to speak, they may not know they wanted to speak until now.
So just for record-keeping purposes, agenda item 8 is the public hearing to consider whether the district should develop a local innovation plan for designation as a district of innovation. At this time, this public hearing is open. Public is invited to comment on the resolution to consider whether the district should develop a local innovation plan for the designation of the district as a district of innovation. No one has signed up? So we can move forward. This public hearing is closed.
Did you want to speak? Well, it could be,
I'm not a member of the community. I live out of it, but my wife and I both work here. So
Absolutely, if you'll come to the podium, please.
that way we can hear you.
I didn't plan on doing this, but like I said, I don't live in the community, but my wife and I both are here 99% of the time. And this is a wonderful opportunity for our kids. It's a step forward to getting them what they're asking for. And you can hear them in the hallway saying, I wish we're doing this, or I wish we're doing that. I wish we didn't have to go here, or I wish we didn't have to go there. So I think if we don't do this as a community or a group, that we would be failing our children.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if there are no other comments, the public hearing is closed. And we'll move on to agenda item number 9, which is to consider and approve a committee to develop a local innovation plan to pursue the designation as a district of innovation. Pursuant to Texas Education Code 12A.002, a committee must be approved to develop a local innovation plan before the district may be designated as a district of innovation. The administration is asking that we delegate the superintendent the authority to appoint a local innovation committee comprised of classroom teachers and administration to provide opportunities for input from the Board of Trustees, parents, and community stakeholders. Anybody have any questions? We have a motion to delegate the superintendent the authority to appoint a committee to develop a local innovation plan for the designation of Aransas Pass ISD as a district of innovation. We have a motion by Ms. Diasis, a second by Ms. Branch. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. And then to close out, this is the proposed timeline now to move forward with this process. Will be tonight, you have approved the resolution, we've had the hearing and the committee decision. I will begin immediately, I've already been working on that, looking at the committee members. We had some wonderful representatives from our community and our staff that worked on our whole process of our Panther Pathway learning design. Boy, we're going to have to edit this video. So, I'm having trouble tonight. I'm so excited about it, it's just not all coming out. So we're going to reach back out to those same individuals that have been a part of this process of us moving forward and see if they'd like to continue this in this direction. Then during the month of January, we will be, it usually takes 2 to 3 meetings that they will be committing to come together to develop our plan. The other great thing is, because so many have gone before us, we have lots of plans to look at and glean and take, and we don't have to start with a blank piece of paper. We can look at what other districts have done and say which ones fit us, and then tweak them to fit that. Then on February 10th, our board meeting in February, we will bring a draft proposal back to you so that you can provide input and approve to notify the commissioner. February 11th, we will post the draft plan on the website for our 30 days. During that time, we will have it open so that we can receive feedback, and I plan on having at least what I call a community idea exchange, where we have an opportunity for the community to come together. They've seen it, they've read it, and they have provide more input into what they want this to look like. March 19th, the DEIC, because this committee is going to become our district education committee, will consider and approve the final plan that is to be brought to you on March 23rd. Remember, we moved our March date back, which worked out perfectly for this too because of spring break. That will give us our 30 days, then we'll bring it back to you with the final draft for you to consider and approve. We will simultaneously be working on the school calendar while we do that, and bring the school calendar to you at that time also. So there's going to be lots of work, so we're going to really rest up for Christmas, because when we come back, we're going to hit the ground running. Having gone through this process, I know that sounds a little like a lot. I mean, there is a lot to this, but we've already done so much of the hard work. I mean, we've been having the conversations. We have the ideas, we have the momentum. So, and this is just such a great community and school district that I don't see this being a problem at all. I really think that we will roll through this very, very nicely. I do not have it on this, but I also plan to, in January, to be on each campus again, like I did last year, for a whole day on a campus where the teachers can come and sit with me individually or as a group and have conversations also, because we want to make sure that the teachers feel very heard and supported through this. I've been trying to communicate with them. As I said, we put out an email today, and we will continue to put out as much as we can to our staff so that they understand what is happening and they feel a part of the process. Through our Student Advisory Council, I think it will be a great opportunity for us to help them be a part of that process. I think I just really want to thank you as a Board of Trustees for once again being visionary in your thinking and looking and not being afraid to step out there and let's do some great things. Because just as our friend said a moment ago, I think this is our next step. This is our next big step to becoming the district that we truly know we can become. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 10 are the superintendent reports. The first item is the construction update on the elementary and gymnasium and the high school tilt wall. Todd, you're up. Thank you for being patient.
Thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Cook, Board of Trustees. Everybody got a handout, a report I sent out earlier. Pretty much all the projects are winding down. The new elementary school, the only really remaining items, there's some additional landscape and irrigation work that's going to be done, a rock garden in front of at the main entry in front of the cafeteria. So that's been approved, and I guess they're getting materials so they can get that completed. I re-walked the interior punch list. There's about 6 or so items that remain that the contractor's aware of, and he's going to schedule it to get those done probably once the students are out during the Christmas break. On the exterior, some of the things that are obviously have not been done. The dumpster CMU walls need to be painted. The irrigation has to be shut off for a little while so they get those dried out and painted. Kruger's aware of that. The security film has been installed in the lobby area, so that film is up there. Also, we had an engineer down to look at the lobby area, so we're going to add a small unit in there so they have a little more control of the temperature in the secure lobby. And then I conducted an exterior punch list today, so took 30, 40 photographs, get those typed up, sent to the general contractor and to Charlie so that contractor can get working on those exterior items. The new gym complex, pretty much all the interior and exterior punch list items that I'm aware of have been completed by Marshall. Currently, they're servicing any warranty calls on site, so they're taking care of those. High school concrete tilt wall repair and coating project, that project is also complete. We walked that, perimeter of that building, I think last week or a week before. It came out, repaired and repainted and caulked a few items, and so my understanding those items are completed, and we have issued a substantial completion on that project, which the district will get probably this week. And that concludes my report tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any.
I got one. I went by the irrigation system, all the pipes are on top of the ground. Are we gonna bury those?
Well, those are temporary irrigation, so
Okay.
that's just to get the seed started.
Okay.
So once that is pretty well started, they'll probably start removing that when they come back, so that'll all go away.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Todd? Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Next item is to set dates for the concession stand vision meetings. Ms. Cook and I met a couple of weeks ago, and I've been fielding questions from community members about the last bond project and when we will get started. When I visited with Ms. Cook, I told her one of the things we need to do is have a visionary meeting of what we wanted that last project to look like. So that's what this is asking for, some dates here for the future. One thing to consider is we will have to set a date for your evaluation, which is in January, the second Monday. So we have board training before that date because we'll need to be trained by education code. So we may want to set this date sometime in February, or we can do it towards the end of January. I know it's kind of a ways out. I wanted to visit with you guys to see if you had anything on your schedule in coming weeks.
I'm good.
Yeah, I don't think December's going to be too packed. Some other dates that we need to set. Probably the beginning of February, maybe the first week of February. You want to look at your calendar if you have it on your phone, and maybe we can identify a date. So we have a meeting on the 10th, which is our regular board meeting. I propose possibly the first week, and also propose not Monday or Friday. You're good?
I'm good.
Good.
You're good? Wheels good. How about Wednesday? February 5th?
Should be okay.
Okay. That's the date we got. Okay, they'll take care of that item. Next item is to set date for training on the superintendent evaluation instrument. As I mentioned, January the 13th will be our board meeting, so we'll conduct the evaluation. We need to meet prior to that date for the Education Service Center to come in and provide our training so that we're legal. We can do that at any time. We'd have to get with Rick. Did Rick give you any dates?
Well, no.
Okay. January the 8th, does that work for everyone? It's a Wednesday? If Rick is not available, is there another date that, so we'll give him a couple of options? Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of that week, which would be the 7th, 8th, or 9th. If that doesn't work, let us know, and we'll have to poll everybody again. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
7th or 8th.
7th or 8th. We good there? Okay.
I'll contact them first thing. That's at the beginning of the new year, so they might be able to make a jump start on the clock with that, so.
The next item is the report of the Student Advisory Council meeting held on December the 3rd. Ms. Cook.
I'm going to let John speak to that. I was not in attendance. I was attending a meeting in Corpus.
Last meeting, we asked them to go back to their campuses and come up with how to better improve communications throughout the district. And they came back with a list of things such as using the electronic board at HEB, maybe put dates up there for the district to do, and that. So they talked about that a little bit. Posting billboards, flyers and things at like washaterias and places all the people get, restaurants, whatever else. Make any type of big events the district's going to have, so that we can publicize it more out, so it's more, so people have more visibility to it. They want to distribute a monthly magazine or a pamphlet out to the district and kind of write something, which I think we're doing pretty well, because we do that in the progress every 3 months. So, you know, that's getting out to the community. They wanted community calendar newsletter via email. That, you know, if you have like an email account with a group email, we have everybody in the district, you just send it out like the city does, or other people. You send a newsletter out, you can write and tell people what's happening in the district, what has happened in the district, what we're proud of, and what's going to happen in the future, so that they can get. And if we get their emails, and they'll get that every time we send it out. They also looked at campus Twitter accounts to communicate with students and members that don't use Facebook frequently. Conduct a survey at each group, parents, students, determine the preferred method of communication. You know, so we're not spinning our wheels doing something nobody's looking at. So we know what avenue is best to get a hold of them, and we know that, then we'll focus our time and attention on doing just that and not doing the other things. Utilize the district and campus website more, make more videos to post events on Facebook and website. They like that idea, that way we get out to the community more, so what's happening on the deal. Pass the flyer on, and maybe they can have a competition or something, so when people comes up to an event, how did you hear that? You know, how did you hear about this event? And if a group or a club or an organization that they heard it through, then they may get some type of pass, like a whole, you know, like a dress pass for that day, a dress code pass for that day, or something as a reward for that group that had most participants at whatever event. So like a band concert or something, how did you hear about the band concert? You know, how did you get a hold of that? So when people come in, they'll poll them and find out what best method that that they got a hold of the access to the information. And then the group, if a group is responsible for doing that, then that group would get the dress pass, the dress code pass for the day. They also looked at developing some type of radio station, locally, like the city has and the state has for like announcements and things, that you could post a radio station, that somebody could tune into the radio station, have continuous announcements on it. And they talked more like an AM station, which would be a lot cheaper and more available than the FM station, but you could put that out. Because, like when you're driving on the road, you see sometimes when you go to cities, it says tune to FM station or AM station, something for road hazards or something. They're looking at maybe doing something like that for the community here, so people can have a station they can turn to actually get information what's happening in the district. And they wanted to maybe do on YouTube a regular broadcast on YouTube and post it out on our website on YouTube for like a newscaster deal of students giving news reports on what's happening on the campus, athletic events, different types of stuff like that. They thought that way the students would provide them up on YouTube. And we talked a little bit about the theater arts class or somebody else doing that. We used to do that at junior high a lot. We used to have a theater arts class that used to do that. And the kids would actually do a newscast every morning to broadcast out every morning for morning announcements. They would go on the local TV station, they would broadcast just junior high And the kids were given news reports, they were dressed up in suits, and, well, we had a weather, they did the weather and everything. It was just like the regular news channel, like the media does. And they thought that would have been a good idea, maybe to explore something like that. And then we talked about, so we kind of wrapped that up, and then we talked about suggestions for next time. They're going to look at, and for the administrators, they should be talking about the course and extracurricular offerings. So we asked them to go back and look at what kind of courses or extracurricular offerings that they want at their campuses. So they're going to bring us back to inputs on what they would like to see in the future. And that was about it. It was a good meeting. Got a lot covered in a short
Great
period of time, but
ideas,
it was
very,
good.
very good ideas.
So just as a point of reference, once they have a meeting like this, the following meeting, they discuss these topic points. Who sits back down with them to see if any of the ideas are going to move forward?
With the students, we send this out to the campus principals so that they can follow up with their students and look at that.
Okay.
And of course, we work at this as a team, and, because like a lot of this is gonna have to come from more of a district level.
Sure.
So we'll work together as a team, of administrators, but they should be working with their students, looking at these ideas, seeing if there's anything they can innovate, doing innovative on their campus. But a lot of this is gonna have to be a team
Right.
approach.
And we talked about it a little bit too. They know some of this stuff's gonna cost money, and they know the
Yeah.
district is limited on the money. So the funds, so again, we have plenty of money, we do a lot of things, and they understand that. So they just want us to try what we can do, and, tell them if we can't do it, we can't do it, because it's just not financially feasible right now, so.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Next item is the enrollment report. Ms. Cook.
Our enrollment is at 1621 for the second 6 weeks. We've been fluctuating anywhere from 1621 to 1625, staying right in that area. Our attendance rate was 94.62%, a little below our 95% goal that we have, but we are hitting that time of year where sicknesses are happening. So, that's just part of the season. So we'll keep working on that. On attendance, so.
Does the board have any questions on the enrollment report? Next item is the calendar of upcoming events. Does anybody have any questions on that? Next item is the overview of the Panther Pathway Learning Design.
I'm all member. I'll call all of you. Yes.
Okay, another exciting topic to discuss tonight is our Panther Pathway responsible rollout. And I put responsible here because this is once again, we want to make sure we get this right. We have to be very careful, strategic in the planning process and how we roll it out now. To remind everyone where we started with this back in August actually, we held the summits so that we could receive information from all stakeholders on what do we want learning to look like in Aransas Pass, and received great input, had conversations that followed up after that. Then we used that information to work with a committee of 32, a committee of 32 that represented all stakeholders. Very intense 3 days. I see one of our teachers here that was a part of that and nodding. Yes, it was very intense. We did not realize what we were really signing up for, but it was fantastic because from that process, we gleaned a learning design framework that we believe is reflective of what our stakeholders are asking us to do. Looking at ensuring that we have engagement in the classroom, in the classrooms, that we're innovative,
that all learners' needs are met through personalization. We talked about what educators would be doing during a certain lesson versus and what the students will be involved in. So those conversations were wonderful, but it was more than just conversation. It was truly taking information to the point of the design and putting it on paper so that we know what it is we need it to look like. Now, once you have that though, and you say, okay, how do we take all these great ideas, all these great things our teachers are doing, and we pull this together, and now how do you roll it out and ensure that we do it in a way that it is responsible and that we don't overwhelm our teachers? One of you as board members asked earlier, or is anyone on overload with all of this information? And that's what we're trying to prevent. So we're trying to ensure that we are keeping a pulse on how the teachers are receiving information and looking at what the process would look like to ensure that they receive the best support. One of the main things we talked about was, as an administrative team, the principals felt like that they really wanted to have more training on how to coach their teachers. Because if we're going to provide support and we're going to have expectations of our teachers in the classroom, the principals want to be able to engage in those conversations and have the conversations and take it to a level that it truly helps the teachers in their growing process. So we're all growing together right now. And growing sometimes is uncomfortable. It stretches us. We know that in our administrative teams, we've been having some really good conversations. And sometimes it's like, ooh, this is exciting, but sometimes can be a little scary. And so that's where we are. We're starting off on a journey that is taking the great things we've been doing and taking it to a whole nother level. But we're trying to do it in a way that is careful and strategic, mindful of the teachers and all that they have to do each and every day. I think this plan will provide that type of support. So we're looking at our learning framework, and we used Engage to Learn was the group that came and facilitated this process. And after much consideration, we, and looking at several different groups that could provide coaching options and support for us as we begin to roll out our expectations, we felt like Engage to Learn was the one that fit our needs best. So looking at it, we have our learning framework with our district that includes our district initiatives. It has our learning profile, learner profiles, what our expectations, what we want to see our learners doing every day in the classroom. Our instructional methods is another component that we discussed, what that would look like, what the educator will do, what the students will be doing. Moving more to student-led learning instead of a sit and get like a lot of us experienced when we were going through school, so that the students are truly engaged in their learning. And the teacher becomes more of a facilitator of the learning. So that's a shift for some, but a very exciting opportunity because that's what our students need. That's the world they will be walking out into, and we need to prepare them in that manner. And then using best practices. What practices have been tried and true and ensure student success? So everything revolves around best practices. This is our APISD Panther pathway. We shared this with you at a board meeting right after we had the initial planning and training. And it encompasses what our learning profiles are. You'll see the stakeholders felt that communication, collaboration, forward thinking, and work ethic were 4 main components that we needed to ensure are embedded in all of the learning that occurs. And with each one of those 4 components are many other bullet points of specifically what that looks like. Then the learning cycle would look like the center part. We developed that at first you would ignite the learning. What do you know? What are you bringing to the experience that you already know? What are you lacking in? How can teachers engage the students and do some pre-assessment, find out where they are, and then get them excited about what they're about to learn and let them be a part of that process? So that's a very important component. Then it leads into explore, giving the students an opportunity to explore the learning in an array of ways. And that's where a lot of this training and support has to come because, teachers are already doing so many different things that they don't realize even probably fit in the explore area. So we want to glean from that. How can we continue to do more of that and move away from students seated, doing worksheets and doing things like that? There's a time and place that we have to do some of that, but that more of our time is spent where students are truly actively engaged in exploring and using those different processes. Then leads into application or apply, where they take their learning. Now they've ignited, they know the teachers know where they are, they've been exploring through different activities and opportunities, and then they apply their knowledge. Because the application level is so important. That's where you ensure that the true lifelong learning has occurred once you get it to that level. And so we have to go through these processes and think about how will that look and what would the educator be doing versus the student. And then our final piece is reflection. To reflect on what has been learned, what else do we need to learn in this area, and as we move forward. So that's a very, very quick overview of a lot of information that was developed. And so what we need to do is be able now to help our teachers to grab hold of what this looks like and how they could begin to implement this in their classroom. And that takes time, and so we want to do it, in, like I said, in a responsible way so that they have the time to hear it, see it, use it, and be supported when they're walking through this. This is a great quote, that leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. And that's where we are now. I think we have a wonderful vision of where we want to be and what we want things to look like in every classroom in our district. But it is important now that we are very careful as leaders and we remove the barriers and we provide the support and the training and all that is needed to ensure that it becomes reality. Otherwise, it will just be a poster hanging on a wall and something we did back in 2019. And I know that I can speak for my team that we've all worked too hard and had too many hard conversations and are too excited about this to not be very careful about ensuring that when we roll this out, we do it in a way that is sustainable. That no matter what the future may hold, that this becomes a part of what Aransas Pass is all about. So as part of this responsible rollout, strategic, I've mentioned that, and so the idea is to launch with a bright spot cohort of the willing. So we will start basically with all teachers hearing the information, being a part of it and experiencing it and being able to begin to utilize it. And I think most of them are going to say, oh, I'm already doing that. I didn't know we were going to call it that, but I'm doing this. And I want, and for them to know, we want you to do more of that. Excuse me, because I think sometimes STAR and some of that scares them. And they tend to think they have to do it in a certain manner, and we're trying to knock down those barriers and those boxes and say, no, we want you to get in that classroom and go for it and take these students as far as you can. But we want to start with that first cohort for the spring will be volunteers. We want to build that readiness in a pipeline with systems of support. Because we know in order to do this, there are some barriers that we have unintentionally as an educational institution put in place that will prevent true creativity. That's the point of District of Innovation too. This all goes hand in hand. This is all very, just so in sync. It's just amazing. So we have to make sure we have the right systems in place and remove those barriers so the teachers can do what we're expecting them to do. We want it to be supported, so there will be teacher and executive coaching. Our principals will be shadowing coaches that are going to come in and coach this first cohort of teachers, as well as our teachers in the years to come. They will be, instead of just going to a workshop and saying, here's the best practices for coaching, now go out there and good luck, hope you can figure out how to do it. We have chosen to go the path where our principals and APs will receive state-of-the-art training through basically watching someone else mentor our teachers, and then they will slowly hand it off to our principals. That's, to me, much more sustainable, because our principals are already so busy with so many different things. I did not want them drowning and then losing sight of what we're trying to do. So we will have this coaching coming in, at least 7 conversations in each year. For this first cohort in the spring, it will be 5. And then we have recognition systems that are in place for the things that are happening and where we're seeing that growth, because we know success does breed success. We want it scaled. So the second cohort, and we'll show you a timeline in a moment, will be area of greatest needs, so that we build momentum. And we're looking at our math as our area for the second cohort. It is our plan. They suggest a 3 to 5 year plan to get to that tipping point. And we're doing this in about 2 to 3. Sustainable, that is very important. So we're trying to launch the coaching academy at least 1 year before the support ends, so that our administrative staff is feeling ready to take over. Engage to Learn basically says they want to coach themselves out of business. They want to coach, leave it with you so that we can carry on. Because, as you have new teachers coming in, we want to get to a point where we're able to coach them. And then we'll have that principal supervisors council 1 year before the support ends. Our rollout is going to look like this. We're looking at this spring, 2020, we'll have volunteers. We're going to be looking for 20 teacher volunteers across the district. We will be asking for those volunteers after we have the training on January 6th and 7th. And so that they will, during that time, all of our teachers will learn about the Panther Pathway. They will learn what all these different, and have and it will be a very engaging time where they will actually get to experience it. And then we'll encourage them through PLCs to continue to have the conversations and use this as much as possible. But we want 20 to rise up afterwards and say, I'm ready to go. And I feel like some of our teachers that help us develop it will be the ones that will do it. They will be the first cohort to have the training. With the E2L coaching coming in, and our principals will be shadowing. Then beginning the next school year, we will have those same 20 volunteers plus 50 new teachers. We will look at our math and our feeder patterns, because that is an area that we feel we need to address very quickly. So we will be, once again, working with our teachers and preparing them to move to this. And they will, during this time, our executive coaching and shadowing will be happening with our administration. During year 3, we will have the final 50, because we have approximately 120 teachers. So by this time, the final 50 then will come into the fold, you might say. But I really feel like, knowing this district like I do now, and the teachers that we have, we will have, I feel like by this year 2, we will have the majority already doing this. They just will not have some official coaching. But our coaches will be rising up from within our principals, so I'm sure they can start coaching them up. So it will not surprise me if this doesn't happen faster than we even think, but we want to do it in a slow pace to ensure that we do it right. So you see there, the final set will be coming in. They will have the coaches still coming. and our coaches will go to their coaching academy, where they basically hand off the baton at that point. So by year 4, we're self-sustaining, so that any new teachers that are coming in, we can begin that process. This is just another way to look at that. It just shows you the different timelines. This is the multi-layered coaching, and it's called eGrow is the system, the format basically. And the coaches will be looking at working with our teachers to talk about their goal setting. So, and this is very similar to things that we already do through the T-test process. As far as setting goals and so forth, but it's taking it to another level. Instead of it being an evaluative piece, moving it to a growth model where you're working with them to help them in any areas that they feel they're weak in, or they just, it may not be that they're even weak, it may just be like, I just really want to do this better, or I've got this group of kids this year and we're, I'm really struggling. So they can work through this model to coach them. They'll look at reality check, different options that they can use to meet the needs of those students or student. What will it be? What will you be doing? What will it look like? And then what's the evidence? Because as we go through it, we want to make sure that everything we do points back to student learning. That's the whole point. That's why we're here, that students achieve. So this is what the coaches will be learning and learning how to implement with their staff. Why eGrow is so effective? It has personalized coaching. It is focused on evidence, recognition for student growth, ongoing and sustainable embedded support. Like I said, we looked at many coaching options and they were all very good, but none of them offered the same type of support that we felt that Engage to Learn is using. So we really did our homework. We thought a lot about this. We asked some hard questions. We grilled these poor people until we felt like this was a fit for us. Because that was one of the main things our team kept saying. This needs to be about Aransas Pass. We don't want something coming in telling us how to do our business. We feel very confident that we know what we need to do. We just need help now just pulling it together and all of us rowing the same direction. And so I think we found a way to begin to pull that piece together. These are the best practices I mentioned earlier that we talked about, just some of the things that, and these are not new to teachers. When you talk about assessment, formative feedback, collaboration, communication, reflection, small group instruction, these are just different types of best practices that are found to bring about the most productive movement towards success for students. I love this slide because I think it really shows why coaching is important. We could stop right where we were and are. We had the summits, we got our vision, and now we could say, okay, let's roll with it. And teachers, here it is. We can make them posters. We can hand it to them and talk about it in PLCs. But if we do that, that's your theory only, maybe some demonstration you see there. It's only going to go so far. And that's why a lot of times when districts have initiatives, they fail because it's a theory, it's a canned approach to something, and it's just, it's been demonstrated perhaps, but it only will go so far. Sometimes it might last a year, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's collecting dust over on the shelf now. And those of us that have been in education for years, we have seen that happen so many times. That's why we were very careful about this. How do we sustain this? So how do we lead to lasting impact? Even with practice and feedback, which is a lot about what happens in PLCs, to a point. You'll practice it, you'll do a little feedback, we have look at some of our data points. You'll get some lift off there and you get to see some successes, but once again, it's not long lasting and sustainable. So research shows that if you want to have 99% impact, you have to have the coaching that goes to transfer it to the classroom so that it becomes what we do every day and who we are. So when we say we are AP, we know what we mean by that. And everyone knows that and understands it. And when you go in every classroom, you see the excitement and the innovation and the creativity and the expectations. And it's there, it's bubbling over. All we're doing is just pulling it together and ensuring that every day that this is what we do. And so this is an investment, it's a commitment, but I truly believe, and my team along with me, that this is not worth doing unless we do it where we have the coaching component and do it this way. Otherwise, we will look back on this as just something we did that never got off the ground. So in the end, the main thing here is that this is all about students learning through experiences. And we know from our own learning styles that when we do it, we experience it, we see it, it stays with us longer than a sit and get. What I've even told you tonight, this is not the best way. I should have presented this in that framework. I thought about it, but I thought, oh, that might blow your minds. But this, because you probably are only going to remember 5% of that much of what I've just said, because you didn't experience the learning. And I want to show you this video. Is it here? No?
It's there. It's on there. You might have to click it with the mouse.
This is some students that have gone through this type of process. We're talking about what they say about their learning and what we want all of our students to be saying.
You're getting taught what you need to be taught and how it works best for you.
The best part for me is basically doing it like with someone or at my own pace.
And you have to kind of use your own knowledge and like learn on your own. It builds the confidence because you know what you're doing and you know what you're saying, and that's a very good life lesson you need to know.
What I like about active learning is when you get to work in groups. When you're older, it like you have more experience with it.
I like working with other students because we tell all of our ideas and then combine into one, and we learn something new from them, and we get to see their point of view.
You may be confused on something, and your partner can help you, and you all have different strengths in learning, and I just think it's great that we all get to help each other.
It's also good to have other people working with you, and again, it's good that we have different opinions.
And this goes to the culture throughout the school because I can see more the people and their creativity.
She puts people in grade levels that are high with lower grade levels, with medium grade levels, and she mixes them all together because she knows that the higher grade levels will help the lower grade levels to get the high grade levels.
When you need help, they're there for you. When you have problems, you have a teacher right by there just to say, are you okay? Do you need help?
She gave us freedom for what we could do, so that it wasn't like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. She gave us freedom, and we still have guidelines for it, but we're able to do what we want.
And she kind of helps me on tips that I need and what I have to finish, and she kind of guides me towards what it really means, because I don't really have a good understanding of it, but she kind of helps me to get the understanding.
He wants us to find out what things are, but in the process, he's giving us a chance to figure out by ourselves what it means.
We get excited for next month because we're like, what are we making next month? What are we learning next month? And we all get excited.
Learning like this is really fun.
I want to learn more like harder and harder. Not like the easiest one. I want to start with the hardest. I love it because it's always so unique.
I love what the little one says. I want to learn the harder and harder. I don't want it the easy. I want the harder and harder. And you know, these are the experiences that our students are receiving, I believe, in most of our classrooms. But I think with the training and support and the coaching, we can ensure that every day that our students, this is the experience they have. And that we don't have to hear them in the hallway saying, we wish this or wish that. I want to hear them saying, it's happening every day, because the Board of Trustees and this wonderful team had enough courage to say, let's do it. Because it is scary. You know, we're in a little bit, we're going to ask you to, you know, approve some contracts with Engage to Learn. And, you know, it's an investment of our funds, of our time, and I think it's worth it. Do you have any questions?
I just got one. When you talk about 20 volunteers to start out, is it like, we were kind of distinguish maybe like 5 from each campus, or
We
are
hope,
going to be, you know?
we hope so. We'll open it up and see who volunteers, and then we'll take that and be like may have to be, I hope it's so many that it's like a lottery. We have to say, okay, there's 20 from this campus, but only 5 of you, so we're going to pick. That wouldn't surprise me, that we have that problem. But yes, we'll have to put a process in place to decide
Make
which.
sure we get each campus covered.
Yes, we want every campus to have this experience. At first, we had put just doing every campus except Falk, because we were worried about Falk teachers, all that they've already been through with the move and then trying to get used to the new. But knowing those teachers over there, they like to rock and roll. You got one sitting out here tonight that I'm sure I'm not want to put her on the spot, but I'm almost sure she'll be one that'll raise her hand to be in the cohort. So we didn't want to say they can't do it. If they feel they're ready to go, then we want them to do it. And then they can help then share out with their other peers on what it's really like, because it's one thing for us to say it, but you know, according to them, which I get it, I used to say that when I was in the classroom, that superintendent and those principals, they've been out of the classroom so long they don't know what it's like anymore. And I remember saying that too, and so for them to hear it from their peers, it's working, it's great, I think we need to do this, that has a lot more power than what we say.
Any other questions? No questions? We'll move on. The next item is a revision of 2019-20 calendar, reflecting January 7th as a staff development / student holiday.
Yes, in order to roll this out appropriately, we need 2 days to do this, because as you can see, that's a lot of information. I just gave you a very small summary. So we have enough minutes in our calendar. It will not affect our students at all. We had more than enough minutes. So this can become a student holiday without them having to do any makeups. This will not hurt. It will not hurt any funding. It does not hurt. It fits perfectly into where we are. So I'd like to be able to do that by policy. We have, it doesn't take a board action, but unless you just have some real negative feelings about it, we were going to roll it out tomorrow, so everybody knows that January 7th is a student holiday, so the parents can be prepared.
So how are you going to disseminate that information?
Facebook, letters home, school messenger, every way that we normally send out information.
Does the board have any questions?
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is agenda item number 11, financial reports. Included in your board package are the accounts payable, budget status investment report, tax collection report, bond finance update, fund balance report. Does anybody have any questions on those reports? The last one is the anticipated insurance premium increase. Ms. Cook, you want to speak to that?
I'm sorry, which one?
The insurance
Oh,
premium increase.
Cheryl's going to speak to that, the insurance premium.
In the board packet, we included the values, the current values of all of our district property. And in order to stay competitive or to be adequately insured towards a proper value, the insurance company has proposed increases, which is about an 8% increase, which basically is what we've been doing every year for the last several years. We would be insuring those increased values. The new elementary and the new gym are included already on this. They're actually included in the 2019 value, and they've left them the same since we just added them. The other piece to this was I needed to remind you that we've been very fortunate that they offered us a 3-year agreement which locked us into the rates prior to Hurricane Harvey. That agreement is, we're in the final year of that. So that goes away. So we will be looking at increased rates, according to Mr. Carlisle, probably close to 15%. I do not have the amount or the proposed premium yet, but if you take 15% of the current premium that we just finished paying, it's close to $50,000 increase. So the rate would be increasing on top of an increased value. So that piece, just wanted y'all to be prepared that our premium will be going up. Just don't know the exact amount. We were one of the very few school districts, well, from our insurance company, that was even offered a 3-year agreement like we've had. This is the first time that we've ever been offered that. So I really appreciate the market being so soft that they were able to offer that. So if you look at, yes, we're going to be paying a higher premium, but for the last 3 years, we've been locked into a very low premium. The last 2 years, everybody else saw almost a 20% increase in their insurance premiums when we were already locked in. The only increase that we paid in premiums because of our values increasing. So that is going to be brought to you the end of January. We should be getting our renewal information. We need to approve the new renewal no later than February, because our new insurance would take effect as of March 1st, 2020. Also, discussing with Kara, wanted you to know this in advance, just in case you wanted us to try to bid this out. I'm very pleased with our relationship with CPAT and PCAT. They've been doing their due diligence, keeping us informed, keeping on top of things. During the whole Harvey experience, they were right here, holding our hands, talking with their specialists that they brought in. Worked very well with our restoration company. We've just had a very positive experience with this company, the PCAT, CPAT. So we're just trying to be open to let you know that we are expecting an increase.
And talking with Chase too, they went out and they have investigated and looked at different companies. I guess it is companies, various insurance companies. So they do their due diligence also to try to get us the best price. And so from Cheryl and I meeting with him, we feel that they're looking out for our best interest. And as she said, they've worked well with us and taken care of us. So that was another reason to propose to stay with them instead of going out looking for another company.
One additional benefit of being with the organization of CPAT, they are the 100% value that they insure on us, and we do not have to deal with TWIA because they cover windstorm. If we were to leave this interlocal agreement that we have with them and go out to bid, chances are very good that we would be dealing with the TWIA.
Board have any questions?
Are they gonna, you don't know, they're gonna also a 3-year lock-in rate next year when we have to renew or not?
That probably won't happen until the market gets really soft, and we asked that question to Mr. Carlisle, and he doesn't see that being offered again for a very long time.
I can tell you that the whole time I've sat on the board, that was the first time we ever had a 3-year lock-in. It's pretty uncommon. Any other questions? Thank you, Cheryl. Agenda item number 12 is a consent agenda to approve the minutes from the November 11, 2019 regular board meeting. Are there any questions on the minutes? If there are no questions, I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 11th meeting. A motion by Ms. Diaz, a second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Takes us to agenda item number 13, our action agenda. First item is to consider and approve the Wash Gallegos retainer. This is a yearly housekeeping item. Ms. Cook, do you have any comments on the retainer agreement?
I think they've worked very well with us. I've been very pleased, so I propose we go with them again.
Does the board have any questions? I have a motion by Mr. Stansberry to approve the retainer program with Wash Gallegos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mullinax. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next action item is to consider and approve the votes for the San Patricio County Appraisal District. Included in your package is the official ballot. It looks like APISD can cast a total of 268 votes. There are 5 nominees. The city of Aransas nominated Dr. Ann Matula. There is also the nomination of the city of Portland and Gregory Portland ISD. Anybody have a motion to make?
The city also nominated Dahlia Sanchez.
Okay. They had 2 nominations. Anybody have a motion?
I'm going to split them 50-50.
I have a motion by Mr. Stansberry to approve a 50-50 split of the 268 votes for Dahlia Sanchez and Dr. Ann Matula. Second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is to consider and award a bid for playground equipment at H.T. Falk Elementary. Ms. Cook.
Well, this was quite a process, and I have to thank Jason Mansfield for doing his due diligence, working with companies, and sometimes it was not easy getting the information to do this. We went off the buy board, so we didn't have to go out and do official bidding process, so we used those on our buy board, looking at trying to get at least 3 companies to do some comparison. In your package, you have all of that information. Appreciate Ms. Stansberry taking it and putting it on a bid evaluation template so we could kind of do some point system to be as fair and equitable as we can on looking at them. So you see, we looked at our criteria, looking at the price, the service of product, reputation, quality, service, past relationships, and so looking at the total long-term cost to the school. You'll see that Grounds for Play was the one that rose out of the pack, you might say. We also did a cost analysis looking at each one. One of the big considerations I'd like you to notice is the square footage. Grounds for Play had more footprint, you might say, for the space. So when you look at the cost being a little bit more, they're not necessarily the cheapest ones, but we felt like for value and what we were getting. When you actually even consider and look at the layout and the actual equipment that they are proposing, there is more variation and spaces for different types of activities on the actual playground equipment, opposed to when you look at the other, only one other actually gave us any drawings. It was very limited in what the activities would be. So when we considered all of those and looked at what we thought best, and when we even drilled down and had conversations about the type of, whether it's going to be the mulch, wood,
Poured rubber.
poured rubber,
AstroTurf.
fall AstroTurf. I mean, we have had every conversation, looked at this from every perspective, and then we came back to reality on especially when we saw some prices. Grounds for Play also is the group that just recently did Charlie Marshall's playground, and we had a great experience with them. So, with all that said, unless you have some questions, we would like to bring to you tonight the proposal to move forward with Grounds for Play for 2 playground pieces out with the wood fiber. It's not called wood fiber. What's it called? Engineered wood fiber surface. Yes. For the amount of $73,552. We have a beautiful new campus. We finally have some grass and landscaping. We need some playgrounds now. I think to finish out that beautiful campus, this only makes sense to be the next step.
And if anybody asks you, all that poured rubber, which looks real nice, would add $100,000 to that price tag, just to let you know what the pricing came in at.
Does the board have any questions?
What did we go with then?
Still wood, just the same thing he has out there, engineered wood fiber. I think one of the other ones came back at almost $80,000 more just for the base. So, and then we had to worry about maintenance on top of that. With the wood, it's mulch.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve awarding the contract for playground equipment to Grounds for Play as recommended by administration? A motion by Mr. Molinak, a second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is to consider and approve policy update 114 affecting our local policies. We had first reading last month. This is the second reading. Are there any questions? We have a motion by Mr. Stansberry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is consider approval of donation from Spirit of Aransas Past to robotics program. We had a presentation earlier, I believe. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to accept the donation of $2,032 from the Spirit of Aransas Past to the Aransas Past High School robotics program? Motion by Ms. Diosas, second by Ms. Branch. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is to consider and approve the conveyance of an easement to AEP Texas. Ms. Cook?
I spoke to Juan that's been working with this. I know Charlie's been working with them, and we currently have the pole is out there, and this will now be the tie downs that they need to do. So this is just making it formal that they have that space to secure the new poles that they're putting in. So I don't think we had an easement
board have any questions?
Is this, I see the address, is it Walter Noble campus that we're talking about the evening, or?
It's right next to the records room. Right, the little building next to Walter Noble.
Okay,
On the corner.
so it's on that campus?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to approve the conveyance of an easement to AP Texas as presented by administration? I have a motion by Ms. DeOssis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is to consider approved contracts with Engage to Learn. Ms. Cook.
In your packet, I provided at the beginning, well, you have all the contracts, what they're providing for us, based off of the presentation I did earlier. You also see where we're pulling these funds from. It's all grant funding that we're using, the ESSA funds. We had actually put aside, when we submitted our application for that this year, we had put in to do mentoring and coaching mentoring for our teachers and coaching for our principals. So that we had already designated and said that when we looked at our needs assessment, this is what we needed. So we would be pulling those funds now to complete that. And then the blended learning grant that we just received is such a blessing because it is enabling us to move forward more quickly and getting that support out there and continuing the training. And that's what the first portion of that grant would be used for.
Is this the total cost for all 3 years?
No, this is this year. And
So
then
the
the
grant-
blended learning grant is 3 years after that, and the rest of the rollout will be paid through the blended learning grant.
It's already marked for it under our budget.
It'll be earmarked,
The grant.
she's saying.
Yeah, the grant will be used for that. Now, there might be some cost for the high school. We may have some training we have to do for the high school because the blended learning grant's through 8th grade. They're gonna be able to do some things with the high school. So we, like here where we had January 6th and 7th, we had to pay that amount for the high school because it's above that what the blended learning was. So there may be some there, but we'll be able to do that through ESSA funds. We'll just make sure that we continue that. Because that'll be because those funds are used for trainings, conferences. I mean, that's what we set that aside for. So we will just make sure that that's earmarked to go toward the plan. So it won't be a part of having to do the budget, the regular budget.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the contract with Engage to Learn for the blended learning and Panther rollout proposals as recommended by administration? A motion by Ms. DeOssis. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mullinack. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 15 is our discussion item. 14 is discussion for future topics. Do they have anything? If not, we'll move on to item number 15, to convene an executive session is authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.001, concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act. Section 551.071, attorney consultation regarding legal issues related to establishing a school guardian program. .074, deliberate the possible appointment of a public officer or employees to the school guardian program. .076 and .089, deliberate the deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel, critical infrastructure, or security devices. .071 and .129, consultation with legal counsel regarding elementary school construction projects and high school athletic complex construction project. Time is now 9:02 and we'll convene an executive session. The board has reconvened in open session. With there being no other business before the board, this meeting is adjourned.